Think of Hollywood scandals, we think of nothing more, don't we, than simply being Hollywood. And then, of course, you find these scandals out and they become even bigger stories and the backstory behind and who lied, who knew, and more importantly, who were really involved behind the scenes. The story, of course, becomes even more exciting when you throw into the mix the British monarchy. As ever, let me explain. Hi, lovely to see you. How are you today? You all right? Thank you so much for your time. And listen, as ever, welcome one and all brand new subscribers. Everybody who has followed me for a long time on this channel now, of which I'm truly appreciative, knows I love all the nostalgia, all the glamour. We often think, don't we, that the olden days were simply better. But of course, they were also very controlled, weren't they, by the studio systems. All of those people that we thought were really born with those exotic names turned out to be quite like you and me in the end, didn't they? Discovered maybe working in a shop or something like that, but they had a face, a look that studio moguls could turn into megastars. And one such megastar that was very lucky but very beautiful, and I often think really still got a very modern look. Do you know what I mean by that? Let me know actually in the comments on that. There's certain people, aren't they, that look of their era, they look very 1930s, they look 1940s, but this lady, Loretta Young, was truly beautiful in any decade. Absolutely up there for me, with also a lady, as many people know, I was lucky enough to meet, the beautiful Ava Gardner. But they were just natural beauties, God-given beauty, wasn't it? There it was up on the screen. Yes, beautified, but still the very best. Now, Loretta Young, of course, was, shall we say, scandalous in many reasons, and that's possibly why she got the attention and the attraction of none other than this senior royal. Let me explain. I have this particular man to thank for this story. That's right, Bob Hope. Now, Bob, of course, was originally born over here in the United Kingdom and went on to be a megastar, all thanks to movies, vaudeville, the road films alongside Bing Crosby. Everybody loved a little bit of Bob Hope. I met him very briefly on one of his, I think, final visits over here to the United Kingdom. He was very old at that point, but still a lovely man, and still very cracky and wise. But I didn't realise, I don't know if you knew this, that a lot of his gags were written literally in cue cards and put on seats in the front row of the theatre because he couldn't be bothered to learn them. My sort of man. By the way, a lot of people ask me, Neil, is this written on an auto cue? How do you read it if you're holding the stick? No auto cue, all from memory. So if I do make mistakes, do forgive me, but it's all up here. Keeps you going though, doesn't it? Now back to Bob Hope. Well, Bob Hope, you see, was chosen to be the MC of the Royal Command film performance at the brilliant Odeon Leicester Square. And recently I met a man who worked there during that particular period. In fact, he was the man that looked after the infamous Compton organ, which is still there today. Wonderful instrument when you think, but imagine going to the cinema and seeing that rising from under the ground. You knew elegant things were about to start. Now, the Royal Command film performance that year was none other than The Bishop's Wife, starring Loretta Young. Now, apparently the chosen reason behind that was none other than our late and wonderful Queen Mother, Queen Elizabeth. She loved Hollywood, loved the movies, and more importantly, loved the style of Loretta Young, the hairstyle, the makeup, everything. She really did look at Hollywood glamour and wonder if she could incorporate that into her style, but in, of course, a more regal, subtle way. Hence the reason that she was invited over here, Loretta, to attend that film premiere. Now, here's where it gets really interesting, because then, yes, what happened was Princess Margaret, her youngest daughter, said, no, I need to come as well. I love her. And so suddenly, in the lineup, you will see that although it wasn't originally going to be down there, it was the King and the Queen attended the Royal Command film performance. There we have a very young Princess Margaret. She was totally enamored with Loretta Young. But apparently, you see, she'd read all the gossip magazines and knew about the scandal regarding the alleged, and we have to say that even though we know it's true, daughter that she had and then suddenly adopted, who looked remarkably like her, and more importantly like the Hollywood superstar that was Clark Gable. This must have set some kind of alarm bell off, of course, for Princess Margaret, who decided she quite liked Loretta Young and they could be kindred spirits, Now, our friendship truly developed over the years, but here's where I think is a really nice element of the story. Basically, Loretta turned up from Hollywood with an incredible book of signed pictures from all of the favourite movie stars that the King, the Queen, and of course the young princesses liked. And it was gifted to the Queen Mother, Queen Elizabeth at the time. And according to Princess Margaret later years, she never got it, because the bottom line is the Queen snaffled it and was looking at all the fashions and who'd signed and who'd said what. They just adored Hollywood. Isn't it strange? But a friendship did develop between Loretta Young and Princess Margaret, so much so it had to be kept under wraps because literally in the 1950s and 40s, even in the 60s, she was still considered to be rather scandalous of Hollywood. But they did meet on occasions, and most famously it was documented while Loretta was staying over here at Claridge's in 1959 for a discreet tea in Loretta's suite. So you see, friendships can develop from simply meeting Hollywood stars in a lineup, but the person we have to thank for that is a British comedy icon, none other than Bob Hope. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.